Good morning. For our panelists that are here from off campus, let's demonstrate the good morning gets a response like, good morning. Actually, they're all very friendly. They're just a little sleepy this morning at 8 o'clock. Anyway, it's my joy to welcome you to this Paths to Professionalism event. It's one of the great things that the School of Management does to support you, the students. I love the title, the Paths is plural, because here at the university we talk about discovering your passions, your calling, what you're good at, what you want to do to be successful in your career, and there are many ways to do that, and you'll get to explore some of those this morning with this fantastic panel that's been arranged. So it's going to be a great time this morning, and I really appreciate all of you being here. I also want to say a special thanks to Dr. Cosentino for his work on this event, and I have to point out he was here 10, 11 last night. He was here pretty late making sure everything was going to be set up, as was Susan Wood in the back. So know that your School of Management faculty and staff work overtime for things like this to be successful. With that, I would like to call on our campus pastor, the Reverend Hazel Salazar-Davidson, to bring us a word this morning.
Good morning. My name is Hazel, and I have the honor of serving you as pastor here at CLU. I've been here for 18 months, and I have two confessions I would like to make this morning. One is that I'm actually not a morning person, which is why I became a pastor of a university who has their events mostly in the evenings. And then two, that saying that, this is one of my favorite events. Why? Because like many of you, my career path was not a straight line. In fact, it was a windy mess, and it seemed like it took forever. But I had a lot of folks who came around me and encouraged me and cheered me along the way. I had professionals who came and spoke into my life and encouraged me all while I was trying to do this as a single parent. And it took believing in myself when things got really hard. Community was central to achieving my goals. So being with you students, the faculty, our panelists this morning, it inspires me. And you inspire me. You inspire me to dream and to pursue more of my goals because I feel like I'm still not finished. And I want to envision new possibilities. So thank you for making me get up early. Let's take a moment to pray. God of our journey, there are times when we feel as if we're wandering, times when we question our path. We are grateful for these sacred times because it is in the questioning that we become surprised by your answers. It is in our questions where we find community. It is in our community where we find you. God of inspiration, we pray that you would inspire us each and every day. Give us enthusiasm for our studies and perseverance through our academic path. God of our futures, help us to remember that all of our destinies lie in your hand. Help us to trust in your grace and protection and provision. God of community, we are grateful for the voices of those who have pursued their dreams. We ask that you come and speak through them and that you would help us to dream and to hear our own calling and vocation. Amen. Enjoy your morning. Enjoy each other. Have a good day. Oh, and I'd like to introduce Stefan Cosentino. Okay.
Welcome and thank you again for joining us at the 2020 Paths to Professional event. This is a great event that has been at the university for decades, and its mission is to connect our industry partners with our students, provide advice on opportunities to enter the industry, as well as engage our partners in the search and for a path. So there's a few changes that we've had from last year's event that we hope that you guys will enjoy. First, we've expanded the time frame in which that you may be able to ask our panelists questions. In doing so, we are asking that we'll have a mic after our moderator indicates that we'll have a question from the floor. That you can ask a question, which will be a fantastic opportunity to get insights into your particular area of interest. We've also made it an opportunity to provide a professional photo available to you through our career services group that will be taking photos starting at 9 o'clock. And then lastly, we've made a opportunity or a change to start engaging students in the opportunity to develop this event itself. So that will include engaging Mr. John Basmajian, ASCLU President, as our moderator today. So I would like to thank you for joining us at this event and thank our partners and our panelists for coming as well. I know in this time frame, there's a lot going on in your businesses, and coming to campus is a step out, but I hope that from this experience you enjoy this engagement and also may spend some extra time after this event to speak with our students. So I'll probably join you in a bit, but I'd like to turn it over to John Bez.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you all this morning. Proud of you for being up so early, especially my roommates for being up before 10 a.m. Before we start, are you able to give a brief background of yourself or your company besides what was already written in the bio? We'll start with you, Yuliana. Oh, sorry, if you want to. Sound good?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Yuliana Gonzalez, and as you guys read on the bio, I'm the Executive Director of the Camarillo Hotel and Tourism Association. I'm actually a Cal State Northridge grad, so just up the freeway down there. Besides what you guys read, I do want to mention we're a big data-driven organization over at the Camarillo Hotel and Tourism Association. So we love looking at data and really analyzing and really making our decisions based off of the facts. So that's something that I do want to bring to light for you all today. Just like the pastor mentioned, our path, my path especially, started on a completely different arena to what I am doing now. Something similar, but definitely different. And through the experiences and through the networking that I was able to do over the years, I kind of found myself planted here, and my roots are where I'm currently at, and I'm definitely enjoying it. So don't think that if you haven't found what you think you want to be, where you want to be, you'll definitely find it soon. So,
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Mark Davis, President of the Sun Hill Properties. We have 4 properties in the United States: the Hilton Universal and the Simi Valley Courtyard, and then 2 properties in Colorado. I work for and answer to a board of directors and investors in China. We have about 4,000 rooms. I'm their hotel and hospitality expert. 3,000 plus rooms of those are in China. Yes, I've been to China. I survived, came back in January, and I'm clear, so no worries. I think you have to go on with life, go on with business, be careful, protect yourself, but life must go on. Thankfully, our board has suspended the travel in China, at least till this calms down a little bit, which I'm very happy about. Zoom works. If you haven't bought the stock, it's actually working. In my career, I majored in chemistry, minored in biology, so I would say your path is going to take a lot of twists and turns. My advice to any person seeking their path is find what you love. I was almost first and foremost in your journey. Life is a lot more fun when you do what you love, and hospitality is my love. I've been through all the famines, literally, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, even locusts. In Oklahoma City, I had a ravine next to my hotel, and the locusts hatched, and they came up on my building. And so I've actually been through all the famines. And a word to you ladies, don't hang your wedding dress on the little sprinkler thing in the room. I've had that happen, and the sprinkler went off and ruined the wedding dress, and it's all my fault, right? So that's a little bit about me, but hospitality is my love. I look forward to your questions, and I'll stay around for any comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Janet Bava. I am a Miami native. I am Cuban born, actually, but I've been in the cruise industry all of my life. For my 15s, if you are Hispanic, you know that you have a quinceañera, huge party. I chose to go on a cruise instead. And that was my love for hospitality. That's where it really began. And so when I graduated from college with my marketing and international business degree, I tried for many years to apply to Royal Caribbean, and I did not give up. And that's where my career in hospitality started almost now 20 years ago. I never thought that I would be a California resident. I moved here just about a year ago, so I still feel very new. But it was an amazing opportunity that I could not take down, and I've moved my family. I have 2 little boys, moved them here to the West Coast, which is very different from the East Coast, but it's quite amazing. And so I'm really excited to be here to represent AmaWaterways and to talk to you about, my journey and how I, as a minority, as a female, I was able to kind of, the last 20 years, work really, really hard for my path and my career and reach the pinnacle that I feel that I have reached today.
Great, thank you so much. So as college students, I think we really are focused on preparing ourselves for the workforce. What is a skill that you learned later on in life that you wish you knew coming out of college? And we could start with you, Janet, on this one.
Yeah, so I think it's the people skill. I think it's really understanding every different individual that you interact with is completely different. And it doesn't need to be that you need to change yourselves to adapt to that individual, but life and career is about making connections, right? And so I think it's really important for us to understand who we're working with, whether that is a colleague or that is a supervisor or that is a client, and really understanding what their needs and listening to what their needs are and understanding how you can help and bring value to that relationship, to that conversation. And so I think the people part of it, aspect of it, the social aspect of it, the adapting one's personalities, because we all come from different cultures and backgrounds and values. And so when you're in a work environment, especially because I've been in corporate for a very long time, it's really interesting the personal side of things, the connection side of things, and how important that is in your career.
Well, our business, doorknobs and light switches, doesn't get more exciting than that. But without the people and the process that makes that work and connects all the activity, our hospitality, our business doesn't do well. So it is people and process. My advice, learn process, be an expert of it. Learn the people skills, as she said. But the issue that I would say for our team, and I challenge them every day, we are a team. We're only as good as the weakest person. So do your part. Show up, own it. If the company is counting on you and the team is counting on you for your part, you got to be an expert at it. There's average, and then just a little bit more effort, you become an expert and you become a person of excellence. Our industry thrives on excellence. You've all stayed in hotels, I'm sure. You know what average looks like. You got to be better than average today. Yeah. So show up, own it, demonstrate your part of the team for success.
For me, I would probably say it's really about knowing how to build and lead a team. Just like Mark, was alluding to, it's all about having that team in place, that and having them all be a part of that team. So being able to lead them, it's a different story, and learning those skills and learning those leadership skills that you need in order to do that has been one of the things that I probably wished I knew a lot more of when I was in school. And I think I'm still learning today. So being that leader and leading your team to success has been definitely something.
All right, thank you. What has been your most interesting or unique interview experience, whether you were the person hiring or interviewing for a position? Give you a second to think on that, Whoever would like to answer.
I'm going to go back to the personal connection. I've had really tough interviews where you have somebody in front of you that you just can't break through. And sometimes that happens when you're either serving at a restaurant or you're at a front desk of someone and you're really trying to connect with that individual. During the interview process, they meet a lot of people. And so to me, I always was taught that if you make a personal connection with whomever, you may have an upper hand from the other person, because it's not so much about presenting yourself and your experience and why you're right for the role, but is that individual, when you leave and walk out of that room, that's going to say, I remember Janet and what she told me about her dog, or about my dog, or what have you. So one of the toughest interviews for me has been when you sit in front of that really cold person that's kind of very flat, and there's nothing that you can say or do that's going to change how their demeanor, how kind of cold they are, or how, strict they are. So I think it's just not being intimidated by that and just overcoming that and staying positive, because a lot of times what they're doing is they're testing you. They're testing your breaking point. And so to me, one of my toughest interviews is actually entering into Universal Orlando. And it was a lady from HR there, and I was 20 minutes trying to break her in. I kept smiling, and she commended me at the end. She goes, a lot of people by minute 5, that you could start seeing them getting frustrated about my attitude. And so by the end of the interview, the 20 minutes of torture, I call it, I realized that what she was doing the entire time was testing to see, because we're it was a hospitality role, can I continue to stay positive during a challenging situation? And so that was actually part of my interview, her persona and her demeanor. And that was to be, when I left there, I was just like exhausted, but I was happy that, I stuck it through and I was persistent and didn't give up halfway through and just get frustrated and visibly frustrated. So that would be for me, my toughest one.
I hire the criers, and I'll explain. I have a box of Kleenex on my desk. And there's 2 things that I do. I have to connect with the person emotionally. What you see is what you get when you put the person in the workforce. And I try to pry in to connect emotionally with the individual. You'd be surprised if I told you that probably 30% of the people I interview end up crying with this question I ask. And I ask them about, who was your mentor in life? Who was the person who taught you to be who you are today? And tell me how they would describe you. The people become emotional when they describe that. And when that happens, I know they're being true. I know they're being authentic. Because in our industry, if you don't have people that will connect with the customer and emotionally, it's not just the fake smile, it is an on-stage off thing. You don't always feel wonderful about smiling. The actors get paid a lot of money for acting. We teach our people to act, but we teach them to act with authenticity, and that's who wins the Grammys and awards like that. So the most important thing is authenticity. If a person doesn't show that, if they don't look me in the eye, if they don't answer multiple questions, I always ask at least 2 or 3 multiple questions, and if they only answer one of the questions, I kind of pass. You've got to listen, and you've got to be sure that you answer exactly what you're being asked. Many people take a journey over a hill through the woods. It's not the person we're looking for.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely been, some of the similar situations like Mark and Janet, but I will add that some interviews that I've had have been people that have been genuinely interested in the position, and they have showed that. As a destination marketing organization, our job is to love and promote, and we generally do love and promote the destination that we represent. And I've had people that have truly shown their passion for that destination, for Camarillo. And it really has come through in our interviews, and I love meeting people like that that just have a passion for what they do, and it really shows in the interview process. And then that really helps them narrow down our choice, because if they're loving what they're doing, then it's just going to be a great team.
All right, so I know I could ask all the questions, but I know we have a lot of students with questions. So there'll be a couple of microphones going around, and if you want to raise your hand, one of the microphones will be brought to you and you can ask a question.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Damon, last semester here at CLU. Thank you for coming. I have a question for all 3 of you. Sure. Juliana, you mentioned data analytics is critical in your field. Which type of platforms do you use, and which ones do you recommend getting familiar with? That way we could start learning those skills and applying.
So in our profession, because I'm also on the hospitality side of things, but on the marketing as well. So I'm like a little nice fit in between both of them. We look at different, several types of data. One of them really comes down to called STAR report. So STR. So that really tells us how our hotels are doing, in relation, because that's one of our measures of success, within marketing. What type of marketing are we doing? Is it helping bring in those overnight stays? So we look at the STAR report as kind of like our Bible, you can say, of data. In addition to that, we look at several data companies that can provide us with visitor spending and visitor volume. We actually work with a company, Dean Runyon Associates, which provides visa data for us. They tell us, like, hey, this is, the visitors that are coming to your destination, this is how much they're spending. Turn your marketing efforts dependent on of this data. So we use some of that as well as the STAR report to really, and then we also look at, social media, some of the stuff that we're doing on social media to really guide us. And hey, people are loving this post. Let's create more sunset posts of our region and our destination. So we let that type of data guide us.
If I may, I would recommend, because I think as we evolve, data changes and tools change, and there's new players, and it's very competitive as well. What I always tell everyone, not only in marketing, but whatever it is that you do, as you're gathering data, make sure that you map it to business results. So whether you are a chef, or you're working in marketing, or you're working in finance, whatever it is that you're doing operations, I think every business wants to understand what you as an individual are contributing to the bottom line. And so it's not so much about the types of tools that we use to gather the data, because every company is different, and there's millions of tools out there, and they're very similar in a sense. So the tool is a tool, and you talked about people and process, right? And I think connecting the three, people, process, and the technology side, is important. But the human aspect of you understanding, there's myriad of data, but how can I gather and dissect this data and make sense out of it, and show that whatever it is that I'm doing, or whatever it is that I'm gathering, how is this contributing to the bottom line? So whether that's social media, how is that contributing to the business bottom line? If that is reporting on, how much consumption or how much materials or product you're consuming, and things like that. Everything that you do, you need to tie it to how is this contributing to the business objective and the business bottom line. If you're able to do that, there's so many tools that you can use. There's free ones, there's some that you pay for. I've used a myriad of tools in my history, between Salesforce, because I grew up doing customer relationship management, also using a lot of data to drive insights into the marketing that I was doing. But the most effective tool is not necessarily the most effective tool that I've used, because I've used so many different ones. It's what I've done with the tool, which is what you want to gather from it is information that you can provide your leaders, or you could provide your colleagues, that what you're doing and what you're doing is actually driving business results. So that's why we need data in our lives as business majors. The reason why we need data is to say, if I'm doing something that's not working, it's not only about just pulling what you're doing that's working. Maybe you're doing something that's very costly to the business, and that data allows you to identify that. And that's when you can bring value as an employee. So again, I don't think so much is about the tool, but it's understanding what you can do with data in today's world, where data is so readily available in everything that we do, and how you dissect it so that you could provide it to people that you work with, or your leaders, or what have you. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Both well said. Data, you can have analysis paralysis, and that's not where you want to happen with data. The most important feature of data is understanding the relationships of what drives the result. Owners pay for results. I mean, every owner looks at the results. It's how you benchmark against your market, how you benchmark against your competition. Are you progressing? Are you stagnant? Or are you getting beat by your competition? My whole career primarily has been repositioning and going into broken properties financially and fixing that. And it's all done by data. It starts with a market mix. If you have all discount business, you're going to perform worse. So it's about layering in your market mix to where you get the most of what you can at the highest rate, the highest profitability, and then stack the deck on down. Tying your people to, as Janet said, to actually the results. How do you impact the result? If you're the chef, how do you impact your food cost? You can't serve, the answer to food cost is not serve crappy food. The answer is serve quality, but control your portions and be marketable to where you can design your menu to where the people will buy your highest profit item, feature your highest profit item. So there is a strategy in marketing. Tying all that to the relationship is the most important part. So as you study Be a student of Excel, because that helps you analyze your data. All the data that comes into us, we do a lot of data analysts through Excel and formulas. The one thing and component you cannot forget also is the data that comes in about your customer. You know, how does your customer think? What drives their decisions? It might be engineering the menu correctly. It might be engineering a package that you feature that drives a certain niche that your market has been missing. So that is so important. But understanding that relationship is most important.
And as you were talking, I actually just thought about something. There's two types of people in this world, I feel. People that are really comfortable with data and looking at data to help you drive your strategy, whatever it is you're doing. And then there's people that are not really comfortable with data. And I call those more of the people person. And so I work with two different leaders. I work with one that wants to look at the financials all day long. Right. And I work with another one that is just, let's do right by our side and our customers, whatever the cost may be, because that's going to come back. And this individual doesn't want to look at the financials. Well, are we going to, you know, now with the issues that we have with the coronavirus, we're very highly impacted by it. So every day is a new day. We bring data to the table, and it's really interesting to see that you have some people that say, well, you know, oh my goodness, they're really, you know, concerned about the numbers in the financials, the cancellations, people not traveling. But then you have others that are looking like, well, we are actually protecting our business by allowing people to cancel and rebook at a later time. We're hurting right now, and financially this is not a sound decision, but we're doing what's right by the customer. They don't want to even look at the data, and they're making decisions because they want to do what's right by our customers. And so it's very important that if you're not comfortable with data, it's fine, because there are businesses that operate not off of a balance sheet or the financial side of things, or they don't even want to look at data. They want to do what's right by your customer, and if the customer's happy, that customer will continue to return, and that will result in profits for the business longer term. So you don't have to be also a data genius at times. Sometimes you have a whole bunch of data available to you, and you're going to make a decision based on gut or what's right for the customer. And that in the hospitality industry, more than anything, is very, very important, because we're in the people business, and we want to make sure that every interaction that we have delivers a really happy customer. And sometimes the numbers don't make sense, no matter how much data gathering you do, but you do right by your customer, and that will result in financial return.
Yeah, we have a saying in our industry: until somebody sells something, nothing happens. Server can't serve, banquet can't serve, front desk, housekeeping doesn't need to clean the room. You got to sell something. You got to have a customer. Without a customer, it's zero.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Brittany Padilla, and actually I have a question for Janet.
Okay.
So I'm also studying international business, so I wanted to know, like, what other careers were you looking into besides getting to the cruise industry when you were studying, like when you were trying to get out there?
Pharmaceutical. So I actually started right out of college in pharmaceutical, and I can tell you doing marketing for pharmaceutical and travel is completely different, because pharmaceuticals, you have a lot of laws and regulations and compliance, and everything has to be reviewed. If you've seen the commercials, you know how much someone's talking through all the terms and conditions and all the policy around that. So I think really I have so many friends that that took different international business paths. They're all from different backgrounds. They've studied different languages. And so pharmaceuticals was where I started. I think if you're working with international business, now more than ever, there's so many companies that are, the globe to me is becoming smaller and smaller. I don't think you need to stick to one industry per se. That was my choice, because I just had a lot of love and passion for travel and for cruising. So I think it's about finding your passion and love, and you will find that. It could be, cosmetics, it can be travel, it could be product, it could be fashion, it could be whatever it is that you're passionate about. And then find the companies that have international presence, that need international support in the business management world, are looking to grow, whether that is expanding here in the US or they're looking to expand elsewhere. But I do feel as if you have to have you need to find what your individual passion is, and then align that to what your career and what you're studying, because that's going to help you stick around for the long run, and it's going to allow you to work harder to achieve your career goals. So yeah, so I think definitely, I started with pharmaceutical just because I applied to a lot of different travel companies and I didn't get hired, and that was my route, but not a lot of passion around it. So I was very happy to jump over into travel once I was given that opportunity and that door opened for me, and I haven't left the travel industry since. So, because that's where my passion, resided. So I got the experience through the pharmaceutical world, but my passion is in travel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Adam Silverman. This is a question for you, Mark. How did you go from a biochem major to now hospitality? I'm a graduating senior studying business. Not 100% sure as to what I want to do, and I feel like you made like a 180. So if you could explain a little more about that.
Great question, Adam.
Yes.
Thank you. It's been a journey. It's been a fun journey. I call it absolutely the sustenance. When I was in college, I couldn't get help from my parents. They couldn't help me. I didn't get any scholarships. I had to borrow the money to go to school mostly. I wanted to keep that debt as low as possible. And I had to work. So I worked full time while I was in college, went to college full time, worked full time. Tough cookie, but that's what I did. Those are the choices I made. Got married the second year in college. I did not have a child before I finished college, but I had to hit the rubber to the road. I just literally had to make a living, put food on the table. I started in the heart of the house. I started in stewarding, the old pearl diver, the dishwasher. So I guess I'm the story from the dishwasher to the president. It's been a great journey. How did that happen? It was listening to mentors. I had people invest in me. What my goal was always to find a problem that wasn't solved and bring the solution. So many times I have people come in my office and they bring me the problem. And so I ask them the question and say, well, how would you solve that? You would be surprised at the different ideas that come from a dishwasher, a server, a housekeeper. Well, I deal with this every day, and let me just tell you, we can fix this, and here's what my idea is. Hey, great idea, let's do that. So it was a journey of just listening to mentors with a passion to solve problems, to bring solutions to the table versus be the complainer. It always worked for me, producing results. When you solve a problem, you make somebody happy, typically the boss. And when you make the boss happy, life is good. So that's the recipe that worked for me. It's still working today, by the way. I haven't stopped that recipe.
If I may add, I think what I hear is experience, right? Through the years, you gained a lot of experience, and then you started realizing where you wanted to go and with your mentors. And I think as you're graduating, congratulations. I think you're going to go out there and you're going to experience different things, and you're going to fail, and you're going to say, this I don't like, and this is not for me, and that's okay. And so you just shift, and you say, you know what, I'm going to try this now, and it's okay to shift. It's okay to spend years understanding what your passion is and what you're going to be good at.
I knew I didn't want
to do.
I knew I didn't want to be a dishwasher forever.
Right.
There are some people that want to be dishwasher forever. The problem I have sometimes is that person, because they've been doing it for 25 years, thinks they should make as much as the president.
Yeah.
And there is only a limit of what you can pay
Yes.
if you want to stay in that position. If you don't grow, you become stagnant. So my other advice is don't stay necessarily where you are. Always grow.
Yeah, and pay, actually, we haven't talked about pay, and I do want to bring that up because I think that's an interesting part. I've turned down job offers that have been very lucrative because I haven't had a lot of passion for it, or I didn't feel it fit me. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very important that whatever it is that you do, whether you're washing dishes or you are president of a company, that you like what you do and you're not there for the money or you're not there for the pay. Because it does, it helps you short term, the pay does, to kind of get to your next level, buy that car that you've always wanted, be able to put food on the table, but it won't keep you there long term. And so I do feel as if you will find your passion, you will find that, and it may not be in even business, right? Whatever that may be in the future, 10 years from now. But it's important that we don't, it's important for us to put food on the table. And I also worked full time while I was going to college. But it's important that you don't do or take on a job or a role or a career because of what that career is going to pay out at the end. We have a question.
I'd just like to ask how you select, or how are you selected by your mentors? And maybe the crier question, what would they say about you?
Oh, yeah, I can go. Well, my mentors have always been people that that have been, how do I explain this? That I've been connecting with emotionally on a, not just a personal level, but I've been able to connect with them on a professional level as well. So my mentors are my professors actually from school when I was at Cal State Northridge, and I was able to build those relationships with them and just grow from that. And they taught me, you know, exactly, you know, what some of you might be learning now. It's you know, how to excel in the real world. And, you know, not everything is going to be, you know, flowers and chocolate, you know, but there's going to be definitely some bumps in the road. So they were able to really teach me those types of lessons. I'm trying to think what they would say about me. But I think, you know, I think they would say that I'm someone who, you know, always gives it their all. You know, I'm always trying to do my best in whatever work that I do. And I know that I might not be the best in you know what I do, but I'm constantly learning. And I can tell you that, you know, I go back to them even till this day, and I ask them questions and I ask them for advice, because there's so much, you know, the more you know, the more you don't know. So there's so much, you know, left for all of us to learn, and that's how I think they would describe me.
So I was in a part of a company that had a formal mentorship program, and after 2 years of being but you would have to qualify for this mentorship program based on reviews, et cetera. And the first year, I wasn't selected for the mentorship program. The second year, I wasn't selected for the mentorship program. So I said, you know what, I'm going to find my own mentor. And I literally asked somebody who was a working mom, and I had just had my small children, and it was a real big struggle for me to work full time and just really balance my work-life balance. And so I proactively reached out to an individual. I said, I'm not part of the formal mentorship program, but you really inspire me as a female professional, and I would love just to have lunch with you maybe once a month. And so we started having lunch once a month, and she became then my mentor, and later on I was actually then put into a formal mentorship program. But I think people love to be asked to be mentors, and I think it's just asking someone who inspires you, who you look up to, that's around you, and just say, hey, you know, I would love for you to mentor me in my career path, in my personal journey, whatever that may be. I think they would be honored if you just reached out to one individual and asked them to be your mentor, and just have, you know, either, you know, monthly touch bases, weekly touch bases, whatever that may be. But I just think being proactive and asking someone, even if there's not a formal mentorship program, goes a long way in finding the mentor.
We've all had that boss we hate, right? I've probably been that person to some people in my life. But, you know, mentors can be both-sided. You learn from them, and how you have a mentor that will invest in you as you deliver results. You learn from it, and the next time when you have that problem, you don't have to go to the mentor again. But you also pick up things, I don't want to carry that baggage. You know, that part of this guy, I don't want to drink his Kool-Aid. So I think you have to look at that. My best advice to anybody that I'm mentoring is just don't accept average, unless that's the life you want. And then don't be surprised that that's what you have. Excellence, I call it 212. At 210 degrees, you only have hot water. But at 212, it's steam and mighty enough to drive a locomotive. It just takes a little bit more effort. If you want excellence, it's worth it. You don't have to. There's a lot of average people in life. Some people want that balance, that nice flow. And that's okay. But if you want excellence, if you want to thrive, if you want to be the best and the most highly rewarded person in any industry that you choose, deliver excellence. Yeah. Be worth the effort.
I will add, some of my mentors aren't necessarily in my industry. So they're, you know, completely different industries, which helps with, you know, bringing that different perspective, different, you know, just advice. So if you have the opportunity to reach out to someone that's completely different from, you know, this, you know, where you're heading, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
I'll ask a question. what would you say is the biggest challenge you faced in your career, and how were you able to overcome it?
I think external forces we cannot. I mean, we have a lot of control sometimes over our lives, or we don't. But I think it's just coming up with external forces. Like we're living through right now coronavirus, but I lived through the swine flu and all the other things that have impacted. The Costa Concordia when it was when it sunk in by the Italy coast, and that really impacted and made very challenging times. But I think people are defined by the most challenging times. It's really interesting to see right now your colleagues and people who you work for and how they react to challenging times. So I think, when you think you are, in the high road, we had a really great start of the year, and then all of a sudden we get hit with coronavirus, ships getting quarantined. Although river cruise ships are a lot more intimate and smaller, they're not like the big ships. People are still questioning, should I go on a river cruise ship? And we're getting a lot of cancellations. So to me, I feel as if it's amazing to see some of the people who are just breaking apart in our office because they can't handle the stress, or they can't handle every day waking up and not knowing what's going on and the spread, et cetera. But then you see some people that really excel, and they excel in the most challenging times. And so I think we're going through a very challenging time right now. There's always challenging times. There's always something, though. In the last 20 years, probably every year you go through something that's the unexpected. That becomes challenging because no matter how you plan and you put marketing plans together and sales plans, and you think everything's going to go the way that you want it to go, and then an external factor hits that you didn't have plans for. But it's just being able to adapt and be flexible. And seeing then, I'm really proud of some of my individual employees who, in the most challenging times, after working 10 and 12-hour days, they still have a smile on their face, and they could still, crack a joke and be a positive light in a negative situation. So I think we're going through, right now it's a very challenging time for us, but we've gone through this before in the industry, and we will survive. And I think it's just about how you confront the challenge. And I think it really does define you when everything is smooth sailing, no pun intended, everyone just does a really good job, everyone gets along, everyone's nice, But I think it's when the waters get really rough, when you see who excels as a team. And so as a leader, I'm always looking at my team to see who excels in the most challenging times, because I will remember them in the future when come time for.
Yes. Well said. For me, it's two things. It's learning to anticipate the change and change leadership. Change leadership is hard. When you go into a brand new family, a hotel that's been existing, and some of those employees and team members have been there for decades sometimes, it's helping them understand that we can't stay the same.
Right.
The owners are not happy with the results. Let's make the owner happy, and then leading through that change. Change management is tough business. Sometimes it's casualties of people that don't want to be there, first of all, and you can't be successful with that. The next thing is, teaching people not to take things personal in a guest relationship. Our business is guest relations. Yeah. I call it a guest that you can hand the key card to, or you don't even have to have that a phone deal to get to your room anymore, to get in your room, and then they think you walk on water. You really don't own your money in our business. That's the easy guest. But then you have that other person who has the best rate, the lowest rate, and he demands everything. And learning to teach our people to be resilient, to be sucked into that emotion and letting that emotion react to the customer, because I promise you it's a downhill street. No matter what, there is unreasonable customers, you're going to have them in any business, and just not to become emotionally connected with that individual. Learn what will turn it around. Sometimes turning around, I teach people, is you got to change the person. If I'm with front desk and I'm checking a guy in and he's already south and he's upset, he had, I don't know, maybe his coffee wasn't good, or maybe he missed his flight or whatever, he's upset when he gets to the hotel. And when you feel that chemistry not working, change yourself. Bring another team member in. So teaching people that it is okay. You didn't fail. You just simply have to change the chemistry of the person. So anticipating change and leading that change, and also how to teach a person on handling a tough guest.
Yeah. For me, just like Jeanette said, there's been a lot of challenges. It's definitely not been a smooth road. One challenge which has been very interesting to me has been my board of directors, not necessarily a challenge, but learning to work with the dynamics. I also, I am directed by a board of directors, and everyone has their perspective, and everyone has opinions about how they want their organization to run and the successes that they want to see, and they're all very valid. But we've had to learn, making sure that we all work consistently and we're all trying to reach that goal. And that's definitely what's going on. But it's a challenge. You have this group of people, all different opinions, mindsets, and we're trying to get them, all to kind of, run smoothly. So that's been something. On the marketing side, I mean, we've had some tough breaks recently, just up and down the state, and we are a marketing organization, so our job is to promote the destination, and if natural disasters are happening, that poses a challenge for us. So, in the past, it's really been how we overcame those challenges, and it's really been about the messaging that was given to the public, because it really has to be fact-based. Like, hey, the whole state isn't burning up. Hey, we're not all, going through this. There's so much beauty in California and in our region. So it was really about getting that messaging across, that we were able to get over that challenge in the marketing side of things.
Any more questions?
Hello again. A question for all three of you. How do you balance your work life and your personal life?
Yeah.
Ask my husband that. It's tough. It is probably because when you have a lot of passion for what you do and you really like what you do, and then you realize that you cannot put all your energy and into your job, because then when you arrive home, you're not going to be able to do all the other things from your personal life or have the energy to be able to do that. It is one of the hardest things that I have to deal with every day actually is creating a work-life balance for myself, because I have a demanding job, but I also have children at home. I have a husband at home. We don't have any family or friends here, so I need to get home in time because I don't have a support system. It's very, very hard. The how you do it, you have to continue to remind. It's just like how you make yourself go to the gym, and workout routine, and ensuring that you have time to go and work out, and making the 30 minutes of your day. You have to self-manage your time, and you have to work with organizations that support a work-life balance. There are some organizations that do not support a work-life balance. There's some, and I actually had, during my review this year, my boss tell me, Janet, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. You could slow down. One of the biggest critiques that I always get is that I put a lot of pressure on my team and I need to slow down. And so he said that because he's like, I really want you to have the proper work-life balance. That is a boss that supports. I have had other bosses that really, I had a 3-month-old child and would call me at 5 o'clock in the morning that she needed a presentation for a 9 o'clock meeting. And I hadn't slept the entire night, had no conscience about what I was doing at home. So that relationship didn't work out very long, because I needed someone at that point in time to support my personal life, knowing that I was a mom that didn't sleep through the night, and I couldn't, my little time to sleep was between 6 and 8, and now she was calling me, and I had to wake up to do a presentation for her at 9. So I think it's self-managing your work-life balance, but it's also aligning yourself with companies and people that respect your work-life balance. That's, I think, just as important.
Yeah, it's true. Hotels, 365, 24/7, never stops. I challenge you to go into a hotel and ask them how you lock the front door. There are no locks. Once you open, you're open, and you stay open. You never close.
I never thought about it that way. It's true.
Just try it next time. Look at the front door, see if you can see a lock. There is not a lock.
Yeah,
they don't invest the money to put a lock on the front door because you never lock it. I guess the answer to your question is choose your priorities well. I think early in my life, I had a mentor that taught me managing 360. There's different concepts of managing your teammates side to side, your co-leaders, your department managers. If you're a manager and you need this from this manager, learning that relationship, managing below you, but most importantly, managing above. Yeah. Because if you forget to manage above, you won't have work-life balance in my life. So it's learning to anticipate what my boss needs from me, what he expects from me, and choosing whether I like that task or not, to put it high on my priority list, because if I don't, I'm likely to get that call at 5 o'clock and say, where's it at? I expected it today. Yeah. So if I want to leave on time or be with my family or attend a special occasion, I better choose my priorities well. Know what you've got to do. Deliver what you have to do first, always. And then you'll always have those guest interruptions that want to speak to the top guy, and then it kind of wrecks your schedule for the day. But you still have to learn to anticipate that and manage it.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
For me, I'm a to-do list type of gal. I need to write it down, and when I write it down, I kind of tell myself that you're gonna, what you set out to do today, you're gonna make that happen. So making sure that I'm writing in, time to go to the gym, family time, hey, maybe I need some time to just, have a mental break. So, because otherwise, I'm gonna be on my laptop all day, maybe even all night, and it's like, the work's always gonna be there. So, and that's how I've been kind of handling it, is just making sure I cross it off my list. I made sure to do that today, and making that the priority that I want to see in my life. Otherwise, they're all very demanding,
Yes.
and you can always be working. There's always something to do. The next project is always coming, up ahead. So, making that a priority in your daily life, I think is definitely a good way to go.
And I think you have to set your work. Everybody is going to have a different work-life balance. Some people can work really long hours, but then need like a really long break. Good weekend, don't talk to me during my weekend. I want to enjoy myself. So it's whatever you as an individual want to establish, and then aligning yourself with an organization that would be able to support what you define to be the ideal work-life balance for you. Because every individual is different.
Thank you very much.
So for that first job that you had coming out of college, and you see you're a dishwasher, but did you enjoy that first job, or how did you move on from seeing that, okay, I see this, I don't like it, I do like it, and continuing on from there?
For me, I actually loved my first job coming out of school, because I was actually working in an agency setting, so a marketing agency, and they just kind of raised the bar for me and what I look for in an employer, and also as an employer. They were very community, family-based type of business, and they even have a huge community table in the middle of the workspace. So we all got to sit together, and it was very collaborative, and it was fun. I was doing. It was comic book advertising in LA, so it was in the entertainment industry, and looking into that industry was within the same realm, but it was a different type of thing that I was doing. But kind of having that as my first experience, coming fresh out of school, was very eye-opening, and I think that has actually guided me, because now I'm like, okay, well, just how I experienced, and I was very happy there, and I was enjoying what I was doing there. Now I try to bring that into my team, and you spend so much of your time working and being part of a team. You want to enjoy it, you want to enjoy it to the fullest every single day. So I try to bring that to my team at all times.
Well, I have to say and admit I didn't really enjoy dishwashing. Okay, I knew I didn't want to do it forever, but I tried to be the best at it. And to answer your question, how I segued in from that into what I love to do, it was actually pretty easy for me, because when I got out of college, my first job that I was offered in a hospital, I was already in the mid-level management. I had ramped up pretty fast because I was a mover shaker, and I was already in supervisory position. And the hospital offered me $6,000 less money per year. Back in the 70s, that's a heck of a lot of money. I said, that doesn't work for me. Even though I had, studied that in school, I knew how to do it and what to do, I couldn't see myself turning down $6,000 difference in pay. So I stayed with it. I've never really looked back. I've just, the people side of the hospitality business is just, there's just nothing like it. I don't know, the energy, the hotel's different every day. Today you have the quilters. Right now, this week, we have the e-gamers in-house,
Yeah, that's cool.
Next week's IBM. Last week was Google. I mean, so it changes every day, and the dynamics and personalities of your guests, it's fun, it's energizing, it's exciting, it's not boring. I don't like boring. I'm a pretty fast-paced guy. So it was easy for me. It was at that time all about money.
If you're studying marketing, I would recommend that your first job out of college should be a marketing agency. It was also mine. And I'll tell you why. It allows you to work with a lot of different brands. It allows you to work and see from an outsider, because as an agency, you are supporting a company who's hired you. And there are all these different industries that hire a marketing agency. So they could be from the car industry, from insurance, to pharmaceuticals, which is what I started with. And it really gave me an understanding of all the different types of industries, and it gave me affirmation that although, you know what, I don't want to be in the pharmaceutical industry for a very long time, I definitely want to do marketing, but I want to do marketing for travel. So being in a marketing agency right out of college really helped me understand a wide breadth of different industries and peoples and brands and companies, and see them as an outsider, because you get to see a lot of also how companies work during these meetings that you have with them and the interactions that you have with them. So I do highly recommend, if you are a marketing major or an international business major or whatever your major may be, find your first job out of college. Try and be a company that you can get exposed to different types of areas within your study focus, because that will allow you to taste or try different things. So if you're working for a hotel, maybe it's the front desk, maybe it's behind, maybe you're not a front desk person. So I think just allowing you to get experience or be able to move around, so that if you find a job within a company that you like, but you don't actually like the job function, there's opportunities for you to move around within that organization easily, because right off of college, you're not going to know what you want to do right away. So having that flexibility within whatever company that you get hired to move around and promote it. There's companies that promote for you to move around different departments. There's companies that really want you to excel in what you're being hired to do. But I think being hired by a marketing agency, or if you're going to work for a hotel and trying different roles within the hotel, because they're all very unique and different, I think it's a good choice right out of college.
And even though I was working for a marketing agency, I wasn't necessarily doing the glamorous things, So I was, doing busy work, a lot of stuff that didn't want to do.
Right.
Was put on me, which is totally fine, because that's the foundation of the marketing job that I had. But I was surrounded by, all of these awesome account managers and all of these awesome brands that they were working with. So I got to really absorb all of that and take that to my
That's
next
also
job.
a really good tip. Sometimes you're not going to be hired to do the most glamorous job in the company. I've done non-glamorous jobs as well. But people value within the organization that you're doing a job that no one else wants to do. And if you do that with a very positive mindset, and you make even if it's photocopying or it's data entry, whatever that may be, if you're a positive contributor to that role or job, the people that are around you will see how you've taken something that no one wants to do, and you're actually happy doing that. And I think it's going to define your character within the organization very quickly. So, even if you find yourself entering an organization and doing the grunt work that no one wants to do that proudly and do that in a very positive way, and use that opportunity to connect with other individuals in the organization. You will be highly regarded because of the way that you are approaching this one job that no one else wants to do. So don't take that in there saying, oh, I have the job that no one wants in the organization. Flip that into a positive and make that job the most interesting possible, and enjoy that job or make the most out of it, and others will notice that you can take something and flip it upside down. That's a really good value and to have as an individual.
So, sorry.
Quickest pathway to where you want to end up in love life is excellence. I don't care what you do. If you do excellence wherever you are, as a dishwasher or as a copier, if you produce excellence, your opportunities will all be greater.
Exactly.
If you're average, you will be passed over many, many times. So if you want the fastest climb in the ladder with the least resistance, excellence is your mission.
All right, final question. What advice would you give to students who are still discovering or pursuing their career path?
You can go first. I would probably tell you, if you could sharpen up one skill, and we talked about this earlier, would be your people skills. because that's essentially, I mean, I worked hard, you know, in my position, but I also networked a lot. I networked a lot, so much so that I met, you know, my employers, so much so that I built relationships with the people that I work with now. And because of my networking, I was able to, you know, apply for the position where I am now. And I build those relationships, not just, and that's how I met Stefan. And, you know, it's through the networking that I've done in the community, through the relationships that we've built over these past couple years, that has really catapulted not just myself, but also our organization. And yeah, it brings you to the next level. So networking.
Yes. Yes, networking is great.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, I will add to that. I think sometimes we see individuals and we feel they're too busy to talk to me, right? And I really want to know, because I think this individual has a job or a role that I would like and see myself with. And I think it's being proactive and reaching out to these individuals early on in your career. You know, you don't know how good a job or a role is going to be until you experience it yourself, or you hear from somebody else that you value their opinion, or you feel that their opinion would closely align with you. So I think that also, even the busiest of persons, reach out. The worst that they could tell you is, no, I don't have time to talk to you. But I think if you do find an individual that you aspire to be, or their role, or what have you, just ask them for coffee, or ask them just for, you know, some time together to just discuss how they got to where they have achieved, and what do they recommend for you as an individual as you're starting off in your career and you really don't have a defined path. Because no matter how busy I am, if someone were to stop me and say, I just need 10 minutes with you, Janet, I really want to, you know, become a CMO or do something in marketing, how can I get into marketing? It's very hard for me to say no to that. And I think if someone else does, don't take that as a no. Go find somebody else who'll give you the 10 minutes of time to help you and direct you as you're finding your way and your path into your career.
Well said. You know, my advice is close the gap of ignorance. Be a student of the business that you're pursuing. One of the questions I typically ask an interviewee or a person interviewing is, what do you know about my company? If they can't bring that they even cared to show up, and they don't even know anything about my company, well, you're a hotel here on 101. That's all you know. That's pretty obvious. So be a student, be an expert, learn what the gap is. Learn what the gap of ignorance is about what you're pursuing. Talk to the best in the business. Who's going to know what you need to know, and how do you close that gap? The quicker you close that gap, the better chance you have of pursuit in that opportunity.
We have a lot of data and access to data more than ever before. Do your research, come prepared, you know, navigate the waters with, we didn't have all this information back in the day, and I think you're in a great position to succeed. You have so much, and every individual here is different, and every individual has different needs and wants, and it's about finding your individual success. But you have so much information out there. Do your research, come prepared. If you are doing an interview, make sure that you really want to be there, because it does show that you really want to be there and that you have prepared yourself to be there. It comes through. We see it in your eyes when we interview you, how, you know, if you're just here because you need a job and you need to pay for your car insurance, or if you're really there because you want to make a career, you want to really learn about that company and seeing if it's the right fit for you.
Right. Thank you guys so much for being here and all the wisdom that you're able to share. Please join me in thanking our panel.
Thank you.